Hi there, thanks for joining me. I'm Kira Woods and this is the Judgment card. So this is the number 20 Major Arcana. Alright, let's have a look at this card. So we're getting near the end of the Major Arcana. This is the second to last card. And we've got an image here of an angel, it's actually representing the Archangel Gabriel. Very large image of an angel here. And we've got a cross, and we'll come back to that in a minute. That's quite significant. And we've got three figures, well actually multiple figures. There's three in the back here, but the three main ones in the front here. We've got a male, a female, and a child. And we've also got the same in the background. We've also got these wonderful mountains and lots of water. So what is this card really trying to say to us? Well, first of all, it's like there's no missing the message here when you have a very large angel blowing a trumpet. So this is indicating that that it's time for action and there's no avoiding what's going on here. It's going to be very clear. You'll also, as I said, mention the cross here. So when I think about the cross, I think this is sort of like the forces coming together. You know, it's like, you know, the physical coming together with the spiritual, or you might think of it as like a person's development coming together with timing. So in terms of, so we've got this cross, the symbol of this cross. It's very important in this image here. And it's sort of saying, you know, it's like it's all coming together and it's identifying that, you know, you're sort of, are you in or are you out? You know, it's time for action, the timing's there, the situation's there, it's time to make a decision, it's a time for change, it's a time to heed the call. There's no sort of, sitting on the fence anymore. You know, it's because it's all coming together, you know, and so it's like, you know, what do you, take what you know, and it's time to take what you know and do something with it, you know, to actually implement this change. And so I kind of think of this as that it's because it's being fueled by this inner and outer, or this, you know, the physical world with the spiritual world, or, you know, your capacity and abilities with your environment. It's like that's what that cross is saying. And so this change is upon you, and it's time to now, you know, as I said, take action. Now, I think of these figures as this male figure is bringing together then now the element of all things that are dynamic, and the female, all things that are receptive. And the child there is sort of representing you know, acceptance of your own self and as a principle. And they're all looking up at this angel because they're saying, yep, we hear the call, we get the message, it's loud and clear. Now the mountains in the background I often think can be sort of indicate things like the absolute truths of the matter. It might also indicate that there's sort of some rather large obstacles that you've been working with, but the message or the action that is needed is what's going to sort of move beyond those obstacles, so to speak. It's also saying there's no avoiding the situation, no avoiding the judgment. I also like to think about, when I look at this card, I think, okay, I like to think back through the rest of the tarot and remember that there's a relationship here between the High Priestess and also the Justice card. So because this is number 20, remember the 2 in the tarot is the High Priestess. And so I kind of think, you know, the High Priestess, you know, is about knowing, all knowing, but no action. And the Justice card, which is 11, which is a 2, was about, you know, about making decisions, about analytical assessment, and it's sort of like that analytical assessment of a situation. But the Judgment card is kind of pulling it all together. It's about the knowing from the High Priestess, it's about the thinking and the analytical from the Justice card, and making decisions and therefore putting into action. So this is why it comes together at sort of the end of the line. You know, because the Justice card made the decisions, but it's the Judgment card that really puts things into action. So it's very powerful around that acting and that conclusion. So some examples of this might be sort of in terms about heed the call, is when you realize that it really is just time to retire. Or it might be that it's time to say yes to that person asking you to marry them. Or it's time to realize that the relationship's over and you need to action a divorce or separate. Or it might be that you've been thinking about doing something and just there's no more procrastinating happening now. It's time to really make a decision. The key thing with it is, though, it's sort of that change driven by self-will, and it's important that there's no going back on it. So when the Judgment card comes up, it's like, yes, time to make decisions, heed the call, shine, be self-assertive, and follow through. You're going to find a lot of challenges are going to come your way if you don't follow through. So it's a very action-based card, but can be challenging if you move forward, like you say, I'm going to quit smoking, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then 2 weeks later you start to sort of waffle around it. You're going to find that's going to be a problem. So as I think about, when this Judgment card comes up, I think, it definitely is a time for action. It's a time for that. It's also indicating that it's pulling everything together, so that period of reflection, period of self-evaluation. And so you might find the Judgment card is sort of encouraging you to really go inside and bring together both that sort of inner awareness and that outer knowing. It also, as I said, so in terms of that sort of awakening or heed the call or call to life type concept. You might also find that with the Judgment card around that you're able to review and evaluate your past experiences and really finally learn the lesson that they have offered for you. So you may find that, particularly depending on how the other cards are coming up in the spread for the reading and the question that was asked. It also is wanting to remind you that that when the Judgment card comes up, it's like no point in dwelling on the past, on those past memories. They really don't need to haunt you anymore. You've moved through, you've moved past them, you've gone through the Moon card. So you've really looked at those illusions and delusions, and now you're in a place of really knowing and can listen and benefit from the message that's been given to you. That, any misunderstandings or unfinished business, all of that, is no longer something to really focus on, because it's time to take action in terms of what the decision is that you've made. It's about also accepting some sort of absolution, self-evaluation, sort of letting go of any issues with things you feel you've done wrong or wrongdoings in your life or other people's lives. There's mistakes, all those guilts and sorrows and all those things that we sometimes carry around. It's sort of saying, nah, let all that going. You don't need it. It's over. It's done and dusted. You might also find that it indicates that the decision that you're working on is going to be extremely life-changing, so really pay attention to that, and therefore be aware of both that blend between intuition and intellect, and that can also be another part of this cross, this intellect and intuition concept that needs to come into play here. But ultimately, a choice needs to be made and faced with maturity and level-headedness, and that your own judgment is impeccable at this time. So trust it and believe it and know that it's true. That you really have all the resources, all the abilities and everything in place to really make a solid decision and action that is needed with that. If you've been having some really difficult times of late, or if the question that you've asked is related to something a very difficult period in your life, know that Judgment card suggests that you may have some respite from that, and that you can find that you might find even sharing some of that with others around you, embracing that whole receptive dynamic and receptive dynamic and acceptance part of life and everyone around us would be really beneficial. So the bottom line, as I said, is this card is saying you're in or you're out. Make a decision, put forward an action. If you find there are obstacles around you, you have the resources to overcome those, to battle with that. Don't avoid the conflict, though. If you try and run away from it, this is going to not be in your best interest. So you really need to shine, stand up for what you believe in, and because you really can succeed. You know, keep your goals in mind, stay focused, don't falter. Be willing and able to succeed. Like sometimes we self-sabotage ourselves. And we're our own worst enemies. This is sort of reminding us it's time to wake up and realize this is a really important time in your life, and grab it and run with it. But don't forget to also go inside yourself as part of the process, because as I said, it's this duality of the two coming together. And you might find you're asking yourself questions like, well, what am I missing that I once thought was really important in my past? And you might just need to have a reflection on that. You might find what has inspired me or given me renewed energy when you see this card come up, or what it is it that I want to, what's new that I want to embrace. You might find you're asking things like, where's the message that I'm not hearing, or what is the message that I am hearing? Am I listening? Am I heeding the call? Is it that I've been sort of thinking about doing something that I just haven't been doing, but really I just need to go and do it, like leave the job, or retire in general, or change careers, accept that wedding proposal, whatever it might be. So this is an incredibly powerful card. It's not one to take lightly. Be informed about its power and its position in the particular question regarding what other cards are around it, and therefore to feed the information or the energy of this card is how it'll play out with the situation or the opportunity is going to very much be with what is before and after it. So keep that in mind. I hope you find that really useful. I find this quite an amazing card when I have it come up in a reading, and I have to really take a deep breath and really be thoughtful and insightful about how I talk about this card or what information I share with a client when it comes up in a reading. I also find that I try really hard to sort of try and focus my attention on the card and see which part of the card is really wanting to call out to me and how does it relate to the overall reading. So I hope you find that really useful. If you'd like a private reading with me, or if you'd like to catch up with me, have a conversation, or just say hi, please do so by going to my website at www.kirawiz.com. I do give private readings, and I love giving private readings, so please consider that. I do them in person, but I can also do them on Skype. I have clients from all over the world, which is fantastic. Also, please check out my business Facebook page at Kira Wiz Tarot. And if you haven't, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much, and I wish you all the very best and hope to see you with my next video.